Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a really fascinating concept from the source material today, viewing your mind as a symphony. Now, we've all been there, right? That overwhelming feeling of mental overload, where your brain feels way less like a harmonious orchestra and, honestly, a lot more like a chaotic traffic jam. Well, today we are going to learn exactly how to tune out that overwhelming noise, dismantle those negative narratives, and finally find your unique, authentic frequency. So, I want to start by asking you a pretty provocative question. Who is actually holding the baton in your head? Think about it. Because if you're constantly feeling overwhelmed by daily expectations, stress, or anxiety, it usually means someone or something else has taken that baton right out of your hand. If you aren't actively choosing where to place your mental focus, well, external pressures and old fears are more than happy to step up to the podium and dictate the music for you. To help us get that baton back, we're going to walk through 5 key steps today. Identifying the 300 voices, avoiding the perfectionist trap, recognizing that Saul's armor doesn't fit, testing the spirits, and forging a joy anchor. Let's get right into it. Step 1, the 300 voices. It's all about noise versus harmony. We're going to start by looking at the sheer volume of mental noise we process on a daily basis. 300. That is a massive number. It represents the competing internal and external voices that are literally vying for your attention every single day. The source material paints our heads as incredibly noisy places. You've got the voice of fear, the voice of performance pressure, self-doubt, and then you add in the external stuff, right? A critical comment from a coworker, a manager's feedback, or even well-meaning advice from your parents asking, "Hey, are you sure you want to do that?" right when you were finally feeling confident. All of these voices are competing at the exact same time, completely drowning out your peace. Now, what the source points out is that a lot of these 300 voices actually act as stealthy joy robbers. And the crazy part? The reason they're so dangerous is their disguise. They almost always present themselves as helpful advice or, necessary self-criticism. They tell you they're just trying to keep you safe or help you improve, but in reality, they're triggering negative images, stealing your focus away from the present moment, and weighing you down with worries that literally aren't even yours to carry. Which brings us to Section 2, The Perfectionist Trap, featuring Thomas's story. To see how these joy robbers operate in the real world, let's look at a super relatable example. This is Thomas, a highly driven software developer. So Thomas gets feedback on a major project. On the left side here, you see 9 incredibly positive comments about his stellar work. But on the right, 1 minor note about a tiny technical imperfection. When Thomas read this, his old voice of performance pressure just immediately shifted into high gear. It whispered, "See, you aren't perfect. You failed." He completely ignored those 9 wins and zoomed in obsessively on that one tiny flaw, like a missed semicolon or something. The feedback just became a monster, completely fed by his own negative focus. By constantly feeding this critical loop, Thomas just let his joy be completely robbed. A colleague even tried to cheer him up, but he was totally unreachable, just trapped in his own head. You can see the fallout here, the constant drive for flawless code, totally dismissing earned compliments, fixating on minor imperfections. Thomas allowed his unique passion for programming to be drowned out by this cacophony of negative expectations. Basically, he was letting the 300 voices conduct his symphony. Section 3, Saul's armor doesn't fit. Let's talk about embracing your unique identity. This is a pivotal shift in our explainer. We really need to step away from other people's expectations and move toward your authentic design. There's this incredibly powerful metaphor in the text. Not everyone fits Saul's armor. What this means is, you cannot be expected to carry the weight of someone else's standards or live on their frequency. Sometimes people project their own unhealed pain or stress onto you, and trying to wear their armor, trying to meet their very specific subjective standards just to prove your worth, it's only going to exhaust you. You are not them, and honestly, you aren't supposed to be. The moment you realize you don't have to wear someone else's armor, you hit this profound truth. You are the conductor of your inner symphony. You literally have the power to stop trying to please everyone else. You can choose which instruments in your mind get to play. You can deliberately turn down the volume on that loud brass section of anxiety and bring up the strings of gratitude and peace. It's a conscious, continuous choice that you get to make. The source text actually anchors this whole psychological pivot in a profound biblical truth from Psalm 139. It says, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." This means you were made entirely unique, right? With a specific calling and frequency that literally no one else has. You were never meant to conform to someone else's mold. When you finally embrace your unique gifts, you're stepping into the identity you were intentionally designed for, and you're shutting out the noise of all those external expectations.
All right, section 4, testing the spirits. This is your ultimate filter.
So we know we have 300 voices up there, and we know we need to conduct them. But how do we actually know which ones to silence and which to amplify? The source introduces this concept of testing the spirits, drawn from John 4:1. This is your ultimate filter. You have to keep your alertness high and actively test those 300 voices. Ask yourself, is this voice bringing peace? Is it building me up and leading to freedom? Or is it a false joy robber that's just causing panic, lowering my self-worth, and holding me captive? You've got to actively interrogate your own thoughts.
Looking at the actual brain science behind this filter, it is fascinating. The old voice of fear, pressure, and human expectations actually triggers the stress response in your brain's amygdala. It keeps you locked in fight or flight mode. But the new voice, the one focused on truth, joy, and unconditional love, taps into your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making and emotional regulation. By focusing on the new voice, you are literally building a neurological buffer against stress and the need for external validation.
And that brings us right to neuroplasticity. Scientifically speaking, our brains are constantly filtering information. Whenever you choose to test the spirits and listen to that new voice of truth instead of the old voice of fear, you are physically rewiring your brain. You are forging brand new positive neural pathways. And over time, this conscious redirection makes it so much easier and more automatic for your brain to just default to peace instead of panic. You are literally training your brain to walk healthier paths. Finally, section 5, forging a joy anchor. Let's get into the practical tools. So how do we put all of this into practice? How do we stop that old voice the exact moment the noise gets too loud? Well, the source lays out 4 concrete steps. First, identify the joy thief. Just call it out for what it is. Second, set boundaries. You have to learn to say no to the voices that rob your joy and actively hunt for the opposing truth. Third, tune into your unique frequencies by focusing on what actually makes you fulfilled, directing your attention to the small blessings. And fourth, the most immediate tool of the bunch, create a joy anchor. So, what exactly is a joy anchor? Well, it's something highly specific to you. It could be a particular song, a favorite photo on your phone, a special spot in nature, or a short verse of truth. Anything that instantly evokes a feeling of peace for you. When those 300 voices try to take over and the noise gets totally deafening, this joy anchor acts as an immediate circuit breaker. By consciously activating it, you interrupt that negative mental loop, take back control of your inner symphony, and completely reset your frequency.
By consistently using your joy anchor and testing those voices, you achieve something pretty incredible. You condition a powerful new voice in your mind, a voice that boldly says, "I choose where I look and what I see." You're no longer just a victim of your reflexes or a plaything for other people's expectations. You become the true captain of your own perception.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Think about your own mind right now, the noise you deal with every single day, and the incredibly unique frequency you were designed to broadcast. What is your joy anchor going to be today? Find it, forge it, and use it to take back the baton of your mind. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey today. Keep tuning that symphony.